I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business, damn. Kanye's, you got me, Free Wade and Foxy, YG's, Pierre Marie, PD, watch me. Bleak could be one hit away his whole career. As long as I'm alive, he's a millionaire.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Megan Shepard. It's great to have you with us. The Minister of Tourism meeting with the latest group of tourism ambassadors last night. The group has completed extensive training that should prepare them for Grand Bahama's evolving tourism industry. Minister Wilchcombe telling the graduates at the Grand Lucayan Resort that they are now better positioned to play an important role in an industry that is about to take off. Sabrina Brown reports.
The Minister of Tourism, Obi Wilchcombe, told the Bahama Host graduates that their decision to equip themselves with knowledge about the island is a major step in building the country's tourism product, an industry that works.
Last year, globally, more than 1 billion tourists traveled the world and spent more than $1.1 trillion. And in the Americas, including the Caribbean, 169 million people came. And they came all over the Caribbean and the Bahamas, almost 6 million came. It is that industry that, notwithstanding the difficulties in the world, notwithstanding 9/11, notwithstanding the hurricanes Wilma, Francis, and Jane, tourists rebounded, and notwithstanding the Great Recession, tourism will again become the leading industry.
Wilchcombe said the introduction of the tourism call center on Grand Bahama is the beginning of bigger things to come for the island.
Do you appreciate that we are going to cause Grand Bahama to become the technical center for the Bahamas? It's going to become a hub. Do you know that we're going to cause for the social networking to take place here? And that we're going to have pits here as well? That we're going to have individuals who are going to work on the social media on Grand Bahama?
The tourism chief said the ministry is working hard to attract business to the nation's second city, but he said Bahamians must do their part to ensure growth and sustainability within the industry.
Service is from the heart. And no matter how much we believe that we must put on a performance or a show for the tourists, it begins with our relationship with each other. If we don't love each other, if we don't care about each other, how are we going to express love?
He believes that it's a lack of love that has led to the high murder rate and other social ills in the country.
Why is it that we're in a country that we've allowed peace to become war, we've allowed love to become hate? A society where one time ago we had a movement toward majority rule and independence, and we didn't have bloodshed.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
A brand new warehouse facility will bring the NEMA's disaster preparedness efforts full circle here on Grand Bahama. Charisma Robinson tells how officials plan to manage the warehouse, which will ensure a smooth distribution process.
The newly completed warehouse facility in the Hawksbill community will be handed over to the National Emergency Management Agency in just a few days. NEMA officials believe that they are much further ahead now that they have a safe place to store emergency supplies, which is most essential when it comes to disaster preparedness.
Very modern design with the latest safety and security features. It's very efficient. We can put a lot of disaster response gear in there and move it out quickly. So it's a great facility.
What you see behind me is an investment of over $600,000, a facility officials say is critical for the island of Grand Bahama.
We have 2 trailers, and they were not adequate because of the inadequacy. We've lost a lot of supplies, moisture and all that kind of stuff. The environment for supplies, the shelf life as a result was very short, so we lost a lot. This is so designed to avoid that.
It's extremely important because we've got communities on the east end, communities on the west end, and they're separated by roads and quite a bit of distance. And so they can be cut off by flooding or hurricanes And it's great to have a facility, a central facility, where we can actually take those goods and either by road, if the roads are open, or sea or air, get them to the communities in need.
Captain Joseph Hugert from the U.S. Northern Command was here on the island for the past 2 days to train officials from various agencies on how to properly manage the facility.
We prepared a PowerPoint presentation that shows all of the aspects necessary to manage an emergency response warehouse, from design to receiving to storing, loading, packing, safety, security, and we spent about 12 hours covering those topics. We had a great class from all across government, and they picked up the information very rapidly and then went out to their new warehouse and applied it.
The warehouse complements NEMA's emergency siren system that was installed on that site in 2011.
It is operational, but we have to do some upgrades with it. It would alert them to start final preparation.
Administrator Alexander Williams says NEMA is relieved that the 2013 hurricane season has ended without incident, and now that the warehouse is complete, he says NEMA will beef up its disaster preparedness training initiatives early next year.
We would embark upon the Emergency Operations Center training exercise. We have an engagement with the Grand Bahama Christian Council to do some shelter management for them, because we realize and we are cognizant of the fact that a lot of churches are used for their parishioners as shelters, and so we want to train their people how to manage their shelters properly.
Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
The U.S. Embassy engaging Bahamian advocates on the issue of prevention of domestic and gender-based violence. During a session yesterday evening, an expert on the issue met with representatives from local NGOs that work with at-risk populations, including the youth of Grand Bahama. Director of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs in the U.S. Embassy, Kristen Gilmore, says they help to facilitate the detectives' visit to the Bahamas in order to raise awareness about the growing issue of domestic and dating violence. Gilmore says that Detective Hawley made several visits on the island and was well received as she shared best practices to prevent violence and shared her case experiences.
This issue of domestic violence, it's everywhere. There's the International Day to Eliminate Violence Against Women. This is really a problem worldwide. It's not a problem that's confined to a capital city. So we wanted to make sure that we could get out there and spread the message, beyond just Nassau. And some of the police officers this morning were actually from Bimini as well. And so it's been great to kind of expand that message outward to get people from Grand Bahama involved in the issue as well.
Detective Holly Tucker says her main objective is to help prevent domestic and dating violence, especially amongst young people. She says while most persons recognize the obvious signs of physical abuse, she wants persons to be aware of other red flags.
It could be a broken jaw, it could be lacerations, bruises, burns. There's also the mental abuse. There's using the derogatory words and using language in a way where you're putting someone down and you're making them feel bad. Another sign is when someone is keeping you from your family, keeping you from seeing your friends, and also keeping your friends and family from coming over. It's that isolation method.
Detective Tucker is encouraging anyone who may be suffering from a dating abuse to seek help. She says persons often feel trapped for a number of reasons, but there are centers specifically in place to offer assistance.
What we really have to do is promote the advocacy that, people need to know that there is help available for them, because there's so many people who don't realize that all these services are out there, available for them to take advantage of, and they're free. They don't cost anything. They're free services. So, hopefully if someone is if they're in a bad relationship, I hope they see this and realize that, hey, maybe I can get out of this. Maybe there is hope, and they would call the crisis line and the center will help them.
The Bahamas Crisis Center is located in the nation's capital and has a 24-hour hotline at 328-0922 or 322-4999. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues after this.